Nobody expects a showdown in the stands to turn into the biggest headache for a team, but that's exactly the mess the Steelers walked into after DK Metcalf's halftime confrontation in Detroit. Fans buy tickets to be loud, to taunt, to egg on their team. There's an understood line. What happens when that line is blurred or crossed entirely? And who pays the price when a player answers back with his hands? Behind the steel curtain. It started like a late season sideline subplot, a fan shouting from the crowd, a star receiver reacting. Cameras caught what looked like Metcalf pulling a fan by the hair and swinging at him during the break. The video went viral. Hot takes exploded. But the story didn't stop at the clip. It became a flashpoint about fan conduct, player safety, and how leagues and franchises handle the messy human stuff that happens when emotions boil over. ESPN.com, Al Michaels, and social feeds lit up, but the real ripple came from within the team. Aaron Rodgers, a quarterback who's seen his share of sideline chaos and locker room drama, stepped up and didn't immediately lecture his teammate. He framed the problem differently. People think paying for a ticket gives them a free pass to say whatever the hell you want. Rodgers said there needs to be a code of conduct for fans, something that protects players from verbal abuse that crosses a line. That line, he argued, matters. Behind the steel curtain, that quote landed because it reframed public reaction. Instead of just asking whether Metcalf was right or wrong, Rodgers pushed the conversation back onto the stands. What are fans allowed to do when they face the person they're insulting? Is trash talk theater, or is it a trigger? And more importantly, should professional players be expected to absorb every personal attack without reacting? Power 102.1. Here's the open question I saved for you. There's more to this than a shove and a headline. There's a legal tangle, a contract cliff, and a narrative clash between what actually happened and what people are saying happened, and that gap is about to get very expensive. I'll get to the financial fallout and a surprising twist in a minute. But first, let's set the scene so the stakes are clear. Heavy sports players live in a pressure cooker. Fans hurl insults. Sometimes it's petty, sometimes it's dangerous. For Metcalf, this wasn't the first time a specific fan had drawn his ire. Reports say he'd complained to security about the same man when he faced Detroit in the past. That history matters because it shifts the incident from spontaneous to personal, which is part of why teammates like Rodgers tried to contextualize Metcalf's reaction. New York Post, but context doesn't erase action. The NFL reviewed the footage and handed down a 2-game suspension for conduct detrimental to the league. Metcalf appealed. He's denying any justification for physical retaliation, and league discipline protocols kicked in like they always do. They evaluate the action, the intent, and the impact on player safety and league image. The immediate takeaway was simple. Metcalf would miss critical games. The ripple effects, though, go deeper. ESPN.com. Now, here's the key insight I held back. This isn't just about missing 2 games. The suspension puts serious guaranteed money at risk, to the tune of roughly $45 million in future guarantees the Steelers could void, depending on contract clauses tied to conduct and team participation. That's the kind of financial cliff that changes front office calculus overnight. It's why this isn't just a locker room scolding, it's a salary cap roster planning emergency. Reuters. And the plot thickens. The fan at the center of this, identified as Ryan Kennedy, publicly denied allegations that he used a racist slur, holding a press conference with lawyers to say the claim is false and that the accusation has harmed him personally and professionally. That clash, an athlete saying he heard a slur and a fan saying he didn't, is now a he said that could pull in legal teams, civil suits, and privacy concerns. When personal reputations and potential defamation enter the frame, the league has to be careful and teams have to be even more cautious. New York Post. Back to Rodgers for a second, because his response matters beyond the quote. He didn't defend the violence. He said he understood the visceral reaction and pushed for accountability on the fan side. That's an important distinction. Rodgers tries to balance 2 uncomfortable facts. Players don't get to retaliate physically, but fans don't get a free pass to weaponize words. That balance is impossible to police perfectly, but it's exactly the conversation teams and leagues must have if they want to prevent future scenes like this. Behind the steel curtain, look at the league angle. The NFL is already sensitive to public image. Player discipline, fan safety, and stadium policies are under perpetual review. A high profile suspension with potential contract fallout forces the league office and teams to answer hard questions. Should stadiums adopt stricter fan conduct enforcement? Should teams be required to release more details after an incident? And critically, how do you protect a player's privacy while investigating a claim about what was said from the stands? None of this is easy. NFL.com. On the locker room side, imagine the ripple effects. The Steelers must weigh team unity against financial reality. Coaches and executives have to think about the on field impact of missing a top receiver, the long term financial exposure, and the PR storm that follows. Teammates publicly urge calm. Privately, the locker room is processing whether the reaction was justified and what it means for trust in and out of the building. That tension between solidarity and accountability has been the through line in player infractions across sports for years. Yahoo Teitao. There's also the fan culture angle, which Rodgers highlighted. Social media has amplified abuse, and anonymity in the stands can encourage uglier behavior. But the remedy isn't straightforward. Banning a single fan or cracking down on taunts without clear evidence is a legal and logistical minefield. Still, many across the league will now push for better education, clearer codes of conduct at stadiums, and faster processes to remove dangerous or abusive behavior when it's documented. Reddit. So what happens next? The suspension stands for now, and Metcalf's appeal has been processed. His financial exposure is real, and the fan at the center of the incident is pursuing public exoneration. The Steelers have to decide whether to protect the guaranteed money or let contract provisions take effect. Decisions that could shape the franchise's roster and reputation for years. In parallel, the NFL will face pressure to clarify stadium enforcement and fan discipline policies. NFL.com, this isn't about excusing violence or condoning bad behavior. It's about recognizing the complicated ecosystem that produced it. A history between a player and a fan, the emotional heat of competition, instantaneous video replay, and a legal contract architecture that escalates a moment into a crisis. Aaron Rodgers didn't try to make things simpler. He made them more honest. Fans aren't just spectators. Sometimes their words have consequences. But honesty alone won't fix the mess. Policy, process, and a lot of careful decision-making will. Power 102.1. Here's the last thing to sit with. The league can punish a player, the team can void guarantees, the fan can sue to clear his name, and yet the core wound remains. Stadiums will still be loud, fans will still taunt, players will still be human, which means this scene will probably repeat unless something structural changes. So the real question lingers, and it's bigger than one hit or one suspension. Who will step up to write the rules that keep stadiums safe without stripping fans of the irreverence that makes live sports electric?